Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss Show. And in today's episode, I finally got a chance to play Arc Raiders. It's alright. I guess like if people are wondering if is this like a game changer game? Like, is this the next Fortnite or Call of Duty or whatever game that went viral and stuff? If you done played an extraction shooter, there's not really all that much different with this game. Pretty much the same as any other extraction shooter, And that's why I'm doing this podcast episode, because I really want to convince the developers that with a game of this status, where it's as popular as it is, this game has to have a lot going for itself, because if it doesn't, game's gonna die off a lot quicker than it blew up. So, and you see that a lot of times with so many different video games. Battlefield 6, for an example. Nobody is talking about that game like it was the week when it was out. Everybody was talking about campaign. Everybody was talking about multiplayer. They were talking about the future of this game. They came out with this Battle Royale mode. I seen maybe a few streamers play it just to overall see what it was about. Other than that, people ain't talking about the game like how they once were, and same with Call of Duty. Call of Duty was at a point in time where everybody was talking about it, and I just feel like nowadays it's like people, they just play it because what other games are out right now, I guess, where we can dump a bunch of different hours. I feel like the only game that I can think of right now where people are talking about it a lot is this indie game called Megabunk. And it's funny because I seen this comment where, what game was it? It might have been Arc Raiders, it might have been another game, but anyways, it was some game that was blowing up, and I think it hadn't came out yet. And people were like, man, it's unfortunate, or somebody had commented saying like, man, it's gonna be unfortunate when an indie game pretty much blow this game out the waters. And I'm like, fam, that's facts. When I sit down and I think about it, like, every big game usually gets killed off because some indie game then took off. Like, no, it was funny because a game, it's not even the original. It's a spoof of another game, but I think it's called Escape from Duck-Off, I think, or something like that. But it's like Tarkov, but it's with some ducks, I think. Hold on for a second. Let me Escape from Duck-Off, and it's a $17.99 game. But no, what was crazy was that there was like indie survival. You get to, I might have to check that game out. I might add that to my wish list, because no, it does look kind of cool though. But anyways, no, it was funny because this game, I think they did say that it broke, or not broke, but it was like it got up there with the same amount of players that Battlefield 6 was having. I think it exceeded beyond the amount of players that Battlefield 6 had playing it on Steam. And I'm like, fam, and I guess, if we're including Xbox and PlayStation and, other platforms where you can play Battlefield 6, Escape from Duck-Off, it's like nobody don't really know about it like that. But they were just mainly talking about it on Steam. But still, though, it's one of those things where I'm like, fam, and this is a game where so what's funny is that looking it up, they say it's a survival RPG game. So it ain't even like this extraction shooter like Escape from Tarkov. But I'm just saying, like, fam, Escape from Tarkov is right there. Like, you can literally play that game if you have a gaming PC. People were going out of their way to download Steam, all right? And to play this game, well, I imagine that most people already have Steam downloaded. But I'm just saying, it's like, fam, here it is. Escape from Tarkov is right there. People are like skipping past that game so they can play an indie game where it's a spoof of Escape from Tarkov. Like, you have to sit down and think about that. Like, bro, games come out all the time. You don't know what game's gonna blow up. You don't know what game's gonna be viral. You don't know what game's gonna, and that's what I was like with Arc Raiders. It's like we didn't really, I honestly, because I remember when this game was coming out, I didn't really know too much what this game was gonna be about. It seemed like that they were kind of like, I don't even know if the developers knew what this game was gonna be about, because maybe I was just like misreading, or I wasn't really paying attention and stuff. But I remember when this game, when they very first had showed up on the Steam store, nobody didn't know what this game was gonna be about. All we just seen was some trailers and some pictures, and it was like, oh, this looked like it's gonna be a fun game. Out of nowhere, they dropped that it was gonna be an extraction shooter. I've already had my ill feelings towards extraction shooters because, for one, there's so many of them coming out. I'm like, you got Gray Zone Warfare, you got like Red something River, I think, like hold on for a second, what's the name that one game. Incursion Red River. There's this one game called Project Lead. I don't even think nobody plays that game no more. But yeah, it's they haven't changed it to. Yeah, I'm like, ain't nobody playing that game. I'm like, that game came out last year, but it was an extraction shooter. And it was the one that was people were talking about. I wonder if they got like a thing where it like all the different like extraction shooter games. Okay, here we go. So, but yeah, just I guess Escape from Duckov. I guess like it probably simulates an extraction shooter, but they do say it's a single player game. But anyways, yeah, there's this one game called Forever Winter. I remember people talking about that for a little bit. Let's see some of the like top selling games. Obviously, Helldivers is considered an extraction shooter. Well, not like the traditional extraction shooters, but anyways, Arena Breakout Infinite, Delta Force. I'm trying to think. Does it have an? Oh yeah, no, yeah, they do. They have an extraction shooter mode, but there's all these different games that then came out where it has like these extraction shooter modes, or it's just overall an extraction shooter game, and then it's like it blows up for a little bit and then it dies off. But my thing is this. If you want to play an extraction shooter, wouldn't it make sense to play the OG? Like, because I guess, like, let's just look that up real quick. What is the OG extraction shooter game? Let's see. Escape from Tarkov is widely considered the original extraction shooter game, though genre's roots also include games like the survival DLC for the Division. I guess, like, there's that. But yeah, I feel like that if you're trying to get like the ultimate extraction shooter experience, you're gonna play Escape from Tarkov. Because I remember when I played Escape from Tarkov, and I was like, wow, this game is actually pretty decent. You know, like I have a liking towards extraction shooters and stuff. But overall, it was one of those games where I'm all like, but dang, there's so much to lose. Like you find all these different things. And I'm like, and that was another thing too with whatchamacallit, the Division. And I would have to say like that's probably one of the best possible things. And and I wanted to talk on something that I heard about Arc Raiders. But anyways, but no, so for those that have never played the Division, you don't really know too much about the Division. So it's a Tom Clancy game done by Ubisoft. I wish it was done by another company because Ubisoft at times don't really know what they need to do with their games. But anyways, no, but the Division, they left so many different opportunities from the first one and the second one. Like everybody can play this game. You know, if you want an easy experience, you got that. If you want a hard experience, you got that. If you want an extraction shooter experience, you got that. If you want a PvP experience, you got that. Even in the first one, they had this survival mode where you had to go out in like some like negative degree weather and stuff and try to find all this different material just to see how long you can survive in the game. That mode was pretty dope. I'm saying like the Division 1, in my opinion, all right, I know people are gonna probably disagree with me, but I have to say like the year that game came out, probably one of the best games to come out that year, if not the best game to come out that year. Because the Division, it was one of those games where I was like, fam, I'm unaware that a game can be this good, you know. So overall, I was like, yeah, man, the Division, when that game came out, an amazing game, you know. And then yeah, they had their extraction shooter mode called Dark Zone, where yeah, you just go into this small little area, try to get some good gear. And they did have it where it was set up on some stuff where it's like, you know, there was some gear where it would be a little bit easier to get in Dark Zone. But if you wanted to just overall play like the other areas of the game and get the gear, you very well can do that too. And that's one thing that I like about that game, is that they're not limiting the players and stuff. Although I will say later on, like yeah, when it came to the Division 2, yeah, it was like it doesn't matter what mode you play, it's like you can't get good gear regardless of whatever it is that you're doing. You can get the thing is this, you could play like the most common mode to like, let's say if there's a gun that you're trying to get in that game, you could play the most common level to get that gun with friends on the hardest difficulty with all the challenges, still wouldn't get that weapon. And that's why I'm like, the Division, in my opinion, right now, currently, not a great game. 1, an amazing game. The Division 2, not so good. So, but anyways, overall, like with just fast forward, you know, with like extraction shooter games and stuff, yeah, Escape from Tarkov came out, and it seemed like that was the go-to game to get if you wanted to have an extraction shooter experience. And I know when I played it for the first time, I was like, wow, this game is actually pretty decent. It's actually pretty fun. And it seemed like that was going to be the only game that if you wanted to play an extraction shooter, like that was the game to play. And then it just seemed like that, you know, the battle royale trend kind of died off, and then developers was like, okay, well, what game can we like, I guess, work on now? What games can we pretty much copy and paste whatever game that already exists? Escape from Tarkov, one of the games that's popping off with the streaming community on TikTok, on YouTube. And it's like, okay, well, let's go ahead and do an extraction. And then, yeah, that's when you see all these different developers coming out with extraction shooters. And it's like, fam, okay, I get it. You want to come out with your own spin of extraction shooters. But me personally, I feel like that what makes a game great is when you have multiple things to do. But because when you look at games like, okay, so when you look at Battle Royale games, for an example, yeah, it's like you see where a lot of people, and I feel like it's kind of like that NBA 2K and FIFA effect, because I'm one of those like content creators where I seen how content creating was back in the day when it came to gaming, where it's like if you see somebody like KSI, for an example, where he's playing FIFA, and then you see like somebody like Cash Nasty where he's playing NBA 2K, I feel like that when you see those guys playing that game, that's going to drive you to go out and want to buy that game so you can play either like them or with them or whatever the case may be. And I feel like a lot of the times, like, and I say that it's a little bit easier with games like Fortnite and Call of Duty and Apex because those games are free. So, like, if you're trying to, I guess, like, get some clips and you know that those clips are going to go viral because you're playing some of the, like, top selling, we ain't even, like, really, like, selling games because it's like the games are free, but I guess, like, in a way they are, like, money making games and stuff. But yeah, it's like it's a free game. You overall don't have to put too much into it and stuff. Like, you can play that game entirely for free. But eventually, games like that, they get boring. I'm an old-fashioned gamer. So, like, when growing up, when I would play a game, if that game ain't had nothing else to do, and that was one thing about it, it's like growing up, you never had to worry about playing a game and had nothing to do in it, whether it was a story-based game, whether it was a multiplayer game, because you look at games like Call of Duty back in the day, they had a bunch of different things that you could do in there. With Call of Duty Black Ops, they had multiplayer, campaign, and zombies. In my opinion, Call of Duty Black Ops, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, those are like some of the best like Call of Duty games of all time. And then when you look at games like Battlefield, where Battlefield, I think it was Bad Company 2, where they had like a co-op mode, they had a campaign mode, they had multiplayer, they had a gang of maps, they had a bunch of different things. And it's like, yeah, and that's when you see what the Battlefield 6 campaign, it was like all these different things that you can do within the campaign. And I'm like, fam, y'all should have explored on that stuff rather than just being like, oh, okay, well, let's just do the bare minimum, because I'm going to talk on Battlefield 6 like currently where it's at right now in my opinion, because right now it just feels like Battlefield 2042 Part 2. Battlefield 6, I'm like, that game in my opinion died off quick, so, but anyways, getting back to my point, overall the point that I'm trying to make and stuff. But yeah, when you look at like games back then, it was like there was just so much to do. And then you look at games now and it's like they want to charge you the same price of games back then, but only put out like one mode. And I'm like, fam, because that's the thing with Arc Raiders, that game, hold on for a second, let me see how much. Yeah, that game costs $39.99, and then if you want to get the deluxe edition, it's $59.99. And the deluxe edition, what does it come with? So some cosmetic stuff. Oh, and then some Raider tokens. And that's like, okay, how long are them Raider tokens gonna last me? Is this cosmetic gear? Like, yeah, it's gear where it's like I don't know, like me personally, and that's crazy. It's like it has like a very positive, like I don't know. I'm like, maybe I gotta look more into it or watch a video on it or something. But I'm like, when I see stuff like that, I'm like, fam. And then back then, it was like when you seen a game back then where it had the deluxe edition, it came with a bunch of different stuff, where it's like, let's say if you were to go out and get like NBA 2K 13 or 14 or something, but you got like the most expensive edition, fam, you was leaving up out that game. You would be able to do everything that you need to do at like the like halfway, because like it usually like it's a year every time when them games comes out. You'll be able to do whatever you wanted to do within 6 months. And I know people will probably be all like, okay, well, you did everything you need to do in the game. So it's like, like what, like it's probably, I feel like people will argue and say that it's better now where it like drags out for a whole year. But I'm like, fam, you have to sit down and think about your average gamer and how many video games they got in their arsenal. That's one thing that I've never had to worry about throughout my years of being a gamer. I've never had to worry about not having a game to play. So if I did everything that I needed to do in NBA 2K, what's stopping me from playing the other over probably if I had to like, if let's just say I had like all the games that I've had throughout my life, like I never fell for the GameStop's trap and traded in my games. Let's say I had every single game that I've ever owned in my whole life. What would stop me from playing the probably, I have to say, throughout my lifetime, I've definitely had well over 1,000 video games, if not probably more than 1,000, probably close to 2,000, if not over 2,000. What's stopping me from playing all those other games? Because there's games, you know what's crazy is that, so there's this retro game store that I discovered where it like, there was like a gang of games that I grew up playing. And this store had a lot of those games, and I'm like, and I was able to get a lot of those games back. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, fam, you know, for one, I should have never traded in those games. But I'm like, I have so many different games. Like, there's games that I haven't even played yet. You know, so that's what I'm saying. I'm like, you know, and I guess like, yeah, if it was really that bad, I could sit down and play those games and focus on that, and you know, play throughout those games and stuff. But I'm curious about Arc Raiders. And so that's why I'm like, you know, to talking to the developers, to me, it would just make sense if you had multiple things to do in that game. And that was the one thing that I wanted to talk on, was that I heard something about like them not adding PvP because they didn't want to split their resources. What does that even mean? You know, because when you see it's because here's the thing, you see where there'll be some games they'll come out and it seems kind of like we're getting too much. Like, why are you giving us all of this content? Like, what did we do to this? Because what game was? I feel like there was a game that I played not too long ago, and I'm like, fam, you're doing way too much. Like, you're giving out way too much and things. I feel like it was a game that I played this year. I just can't remember what it was and stuff, and I'm trying to look. Yeah, I can't even think of it. I don't even know what game it was. Maybe it was a game that I uninstalled, but I'm like, I got a lot of games on Steam, so I wouldn't even begin to search and know what game it was. But anyways, but no, there have been times throughout the year where I played games and I'm like, wow, like this game offered a lot. I'm like, this is actually good, and I'm like, only for like $59.99 or $69.99. I'm like, wow, that actually is pretty cool that they did all of this for a video game. And then you see some games out there where it be like, oh, it might be like $10 less or $20 less, and then they only offer one mode. And I'm like, you know, the one game I can think of where I think, yeah, it did cost $39.99 when it came out was the very first Destiny. And that game, look, bro, I'm telling you, Destiny 1, at the time being, that was probably the greatest game in my arsenal of video games. Like, that's one game where I'm like, fam, give it a remaster, release it on PC, re-release it on consoles, do any and everything that you can to revive that game, because Destiny 1, top tier game. Like, if you've never played Destiny 1, play that game, alright? Now, that's a game worth $39, you know, but Arc Raiders, on the other hand, it's like, if I had to guess, or not even so much a guess, but like if I had to come up with a price on what Arc Raiders, what that game needs to be priced at, it definitely wouldn't be no $39.99. I'm like, that game is not worth $39.99. If all I'm doing is going to this map, jumping into whatever area, nearly getting killed by some robots, and it's like, and I'm having to preserve the stuff that I am finding, weapons and ammo and gear and all this other stuff, and it's like, that's the thing, and that's like, you know, and I guess like with me, it's like, that's the downfall of playing extraction shooters, is that when you lose that stuff, like, it's gone. Like, you gotta like pretty much go through, and I'm like, fam, to me, if I work on something, I'm not trying to have it where if, let's say I turn my computer off or something like that, I lose everything that I worked on, you know, and it's like, and then there ain't like no option of save and none of that stuff, like, because you guys sit down and think about it, like, let's say like the developers, it's like you're working on this game and then there's some bug, I guess, with like, I don't know if you're using Unreal Engine or Unity, whatever developing software that you guys are using, but let's say there's a bug where it just prevents you from not saving the game, and then every time when you start this game up, you gotta like pretty much start from scratch all over again. Do you think you would still work on Arc Raiders? No, you wouldn't. You either would just pretty much give up on the project, or you'll find another platform to to develop this game on. Now I know that there will probably be people that'll say that with me, and it's like, oh, there's other options. And with extraction shooters, and one game that I can think of where I was like, okay, if I had to give an extraction shooter a chance, this was probably, in my opinion, because I feel like Escape from Tarkov is the OG, but if I had to like play another extraction shooter, Gray Zone Warfare, that was a game where I was like, okay, high hopes for this game. Game should be good. Gave it a few chances. Game wasn't good. I like last time I was playing that game. So I'm walking up and I think, I posted that clip too. I'm walking up the stairs. I'm trying to figure out, just like overall, where are some enemies at? Where can I go and get me some gear at? Like everything should be chilled and cool, right? Got sniped. Immediately got sniped. And what's crazy is that it takes you forever to take out an enemy in that game. They can shoot you one time. You're gone. You're done. And I'm like, fam, what's the fun in that? Like people, and that's the thing, people will be so quick to jump up. And I just think that that's just people trolling and stuff. But let's just say people are being serious when they say that it's a skill issue. How is that a skill issue when the game is literally giving the NPC the advantage? Or, the enemy and stuff. And it's like, and I'm playing it, and so, no, they do have that option. That's why I'm like, I ain't hearing no stuff about splitting no resources. I ain't never heard that with no video game on wanting to add more modes and more things to do in the game. That's why I'm like, no, they just don't want to add a PvE mode and stuff. So, but overall, though, I'm playing the PvE mode. How does that benefit? And I guess like overall, that's something that I always worry about with video games, where the developer, they have it in there, they have it set up where it's like you're giving the NPC the advantage over me, and I'm like, fam, they didn't pay $39.99 for this video game. I paid $39.99 for a video game. Like, that's like having it where it's like you go to the movie theaters and you're watching a fighting movie, but you actually got to get into a fight, and if you lose the fight, you got to walk out of the theater. Fam, I paid good money to go and watch this movie. I can care less about this stuff. I'm not trying to have it where it's like I'm always at some disadvantage if I'm trying to go out and do something. So that's why I'm like, it to me, people, if you truly do believe in that whole skill issue crap, that it's one of those things where I'm like, again, I personally just think that it's just some form of, trolling nowadays. But I'm like, you can't genuinely mean that. You can't genuinely believe that, like, oh, every time when somebody, they're pointing out like real actual issues with a game. Because the crazy thing is, you can play a game out there that's a little, because I think it was that one game, Incursion Red River, where it was it was an easier extraction shooter, because I have to say, probably out of all of the extraction shooter games I played, Incursion Red River, that was probably the easiest. And they don't have it, they have it set up where you can change up the difficulty of the game to make it where, and the crazy thing is like, you can point out all these different ideas, because I am going to point out some stuff that Arc Raiders can add to their game to make it, I guess, like a little bit more friendlier, for a player and stuff. But anyways, and I'm like, and that's another thing. You know what? Actually, there is one idea that I have, and I was gonna say some things, but I'm like, no, this is what they need to do to the game, because I'm like, it gets to a point where when you're seeing a game and then that this game's gonna fall off, because Arc Raiders is gonna fall off. I'm like, that's one thing that I feel like that people may disagree. People are going to be like, oh, well, you know what? Just to prove him wrong, I'm gonna play this game every single day for a whole year or for 2 years or for however long. I'm gonna play it every single day forever and stuff. I guarantee and I promise you, there's going to be and that's the thing. When you look at some of the top selling games, people were saying that with OG Grand Theft Auto 5. Now look. Now it's like the only way that game is good is because of the modded servers. If it wasn't for those modded servers, I think we would have seen Grand Theft Auto 6 come out maybe 2-3 years ago. But anyways, Helldivers. I'm like, that's another game where I was all like, yeah, that game, people ain't talking about it like how they once were. What are some other games? Battlefield 6, like I said, ain't nobody talking about that game like how they once was talking about it and stuff. And what are some other ones? I'm like, yeah, if I I were to list out, and I should do that, I should just list out a bunch of different games, because it is a long list. I should just list out a bunch of different games where I'm like, they were good at one point in time, but then it just, new games came out and the developers didn't want to do nothing different to their game, and now it's like they're looking at it in a way where it's all like, well, man, it's like we should have did something with this game. And I'm like, yeah, it's too late for that. I'm like, y'all want to be waiting until the last minute, and it's like, you can't do that with a game. All right, so this is what they need to do with Arc Raiders. Add a PvE mode. Like, that's one thing about it is that I haven't came across no toxic players just yet, but I know it's going to happen at some point in time. I'm like, I know there's going to be that one player where it's like, oh, I'm just going to wait for somebody to extract, kill them, mess up their game, and it's going to be stuff like that that's going to make me not want to ever, because it's like, and that's the thing too, where it's just, going back on that skill issue conversation. How am I supposed to know that somebody's just going to out of nowhere just snap, kill me, and try to and take my loot? It's like, how is that a skill issue if I'm not expecting it? Like, I'm minding my own business, and it's like I'm supposed to just like have like just a 360 just view of who, like, of my character and stuff. And I'm like, fam, somebody's lurking in the shadows or hiding behind a wall, camping, doing whatever and stuff, or even not, if not that, hacking and modifying the game. So it's like I go and try to, kill this person. They shooting at me. I shoot back, realize I'm wasting my ammo, and then they one shot me and take me out. And I'm like, fam, what's the fun in that? How is that? Yeah, it's a skill issue on them, but it's like, how is that a skill issue on me, the one that's not hacking or modifying the game and stuff? So there's that. I'm like, and you know what? And the thing is this: if they don't want to add no PvE option, that's what they should do. Add, because Grand Theft Auto, how they got that thing in there, the passive mode, where it's like you turn that on and you don't have to worry about, yeah, you'll get killed by the NPCs and stuff, but you won't get killed by other players. Because that's the thing about it. It's like when you got games like that, there are going to be toxic people playing the game. If you already have it where there's toxic people in the discussion areas of it on Steam and stuff, and probably other websites, for a fact that there are toxic people playing this game. And I guarantee and I promise you, yeah, there's gonna probably be that one person commenting talking about, oh, I ain't never had to worry about nobody in Arc Raiders. I ain't never had to. There's probably that one person that's not a content creator, that's not watching my videos, so they're unaware of whatever it is that I'm talking about. Because that's why my thing is this: I'm not looking for that one person that's going to be, of course, defending the game. No, I'm looking for that one person where they had like a genuine experience with the game. They had an experience where it's like, okay, I'm a point being proven here. I'm like, I'm not the only one that's just saying this. Like, there's other people that feel this way and stuff, but that's the thing nowadays with developers. They want to go with the majority vote. They don't want to go with everybody. They don't want to have it where it's an equal experience for everybody and stuff. And that's what I'm saying. I'm like, if the developers ain't trying to listen to nobody, I don't see this game lasting a long period of time. So it's like, that's definitely one thing that they got to do, is either add like a separate PvE mode, or add it where there's a PvE option where it's like, like the passive thing where players can't take you out, and then on top of that, it's like, also have it where if there's, because I feel like that's how they need to do that game, is there's the missions that that you have to do in the game where it's like you gotta collect wire, or you gotta, because I think that's the latest one, I gotta collect wire and some other material and stuff. If there's missions that I need to do, don't have it where it's like, okay, in order to, because they do have like the free loadout, but it's usually an assault rifle with very minimum ammo, or a pistol with not a whole lot of ammo. You don't really get like a whole lot of like med kit stuff. And then on top of that, you're coming across robot spiders that'll jump on you. These rolling ball robots that'll blow up or shoot you with fire and things. And it's going to take a little bit of ammo to take them out at times. Not so much the spider enemies. It's usually like a couple of bullets with those. But like the ball, the one I think where it shoots out the fire, it takes a little bit of ammo to take them out. And I was like, the first time I was playing it, I ran out of ammo, so I'm having to hurry up, run back to the extraction zone. And I'm like, bro, I'm saying, like, it's things like that where I'm like, do you want people to, I guess, feel good when playing the game, or do you want people to just feel challenged when playing the game? Because I'm like, fam, when I'm playing a game, if I pay $39.99 for a video game, I'm trying to have my own personal experience. I'm trying to actually have fun and be able to recommend this game to people. But I'm not trying to have it where it's like people ask me about this game game, and I'm telling them, oh, it's a stressful experience. Because you think people want to play stuff like that when the thing is this, right? Sit down and think about this. I'm going to end the podcast episode after saying this. Long day from work, or school, whether you a student, whether you an adult, whatever the case may be, but you overall had a long and stressful day. Let's say you a student, you got all this work that you need to do, you're failing a class, got into an argument with your one of your teachers, professors, depending on what school you go to, but overall you had a long day. You come home, you're doing all this work, you're trying to figure out stuff, you're looking up answers online, you're not finding the answers, you got to come up with your own. You know in your heart that you're going to fail this test, but you all like, hey, we just going to wing it and just see what happens, all right? But you had this stressful experience with school. You turn on your computer, you want to have, you see that Arc Raiders is out. So it's like, okay, I'm going to go ahead, buy this game, play it, have fun with it, all this other stuff. And now you're getting killed left and right by players that are just making it out toxic, or just making it a toxic experience for people. Or you're having to waste all your ammo trying to take out one of the NPC enemies in the game. So it's like on top of that stressful day that you just had at school, now you're having a stressful experience with the game. Is that going to make you want to continue playing the game? Because there's going to be people I feel like they just going to defend it because they want to sit around and argue with people and stuff. I'm not hearing y'all. I'm hearing those that are actually pinpointing themselves in a situation like that, and they know for a fact that they are not going to be playing that game if they going to be having a stressful experience every single day with the game. All right. So, and then for the adult, let's say you just had a stressful day at work, got into it with a customer, got into it with an employee, got into it with your boss, got cut off on traffic. What else? Went to your favorite place that you like to eat out at for lunch and things. They're closed, and let's say they permanently closed down. Person sold the business and all that stuff, no longer there anymore. So it's like, dang, bruh. So it's like, now what am I gonna do? So it's like you going around at work, let's say if you wasn't fortunate like me and you don't work in the food industry, you work at a clothing store or something, you ain't got no food, you don't know where else to go to get you some food and stuff, so you hungry the whole day, and you all like, okay, you know what, gonna go home, eat, but then I'm gonna play a little bit of Arc Raiders and stuff. You had this long stressful day, you come home, you play a video game. Do you want to have a stressful experience with the video game? No. So that's what I'm saying. I'm like, to the developers, I'm like, you guys see things from everybody's point of view. You can't just listen to the yes men in your guys' community and not listen to nobody else. Because my thing is this, it's going to be them same people that got your guys' head all flustered saying like, oh yeah, it's like we're, we love the game, we're your yes men and all this other stuff. I guarantee and I promise you, let a game come out right now where it's 10 times better than Arc Raiders, they're not going to be playing your game. You gonna look, hold on for a second, let me see the Arc Raider Steam, the Steam player account, Arc Raider Steam player account. Let's see what they got going on. So they got 90,000 people in, see, and that's what I'm like in a 24-hour peak, they had 264. Okay, so, but it's like, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, fam, the number is already going down. I'm like, let you know what thing is this. Let's just see where this game goes. Hopefully it goes good. But if not, don't say I didn't warn y'all with this podcast episode. So anyways, with that being said, talk to y'all later. Thank you guys. Stay tuned for the next episode. Like, subscribe, viewing this on YouTube. Follow, subscribe, viewing this on the podcast streaming service. And peace.